Hi, I'm Michael Isaac, co-founder of SynapseDx. I'm going to run through a contract execution, a business process execution here on Command, our main interface. And really, this business process isn't a new one. If you look at our demos on our website, you'll see it. It's called Cash Recovery Monday. And it's a business process where we look into our financials, we find overdue invoices, we review them, we prioritize them, we kind of assess them, and then we potentially, given approval from me, the operator, the human, we send emails to those automated. However, in this demo, and this kind of voiceover I'm doing here, really that contract, we're going to be running that Cash Recovery Monday, but really the point here is I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening behind the scenes. So let's get the contract running, and then I'll kind of talk through it a little bit. Hey Command, it's Cash Recovery Monday. All right, so I'm going to kick this off. It's going to go and actually, it finds the Cash Recovery Monday contract. It's going to go through and do that. And a contract is a saved, versioned definition of a defined business process. It has steps, it has limits, it has built into it what an agent is allowed to touch, more importantly, what they're not allowed to touch. We wrote a standard for this. It's called ACSS, the Agentic Contract Service Specification. And everything you're about to see is that ACSS standard doing its job behind the scenes. All right, I paused it there for a little bit, but the contract came back. It took a couple minutes, and let's roll through the details. So it says, as of today, the 9th of June, 3 contracts carry overdue balances almost 50,000 USD. Now, this is a demo that we have in our financial instance, and then it went through and it ranked the cash chase targets: Northgate Logistics, Blue Peak Manufacturing, Harbor and Finch Media. It's drafted some follow-up emails, but it has not sent them, of course, because that needs human in the loop approval. And it also did some pre-flighting, right? So it just made sure that it could see the PDFs. It read those PDFs to make sure that the invoice evidence was available, and then it had some safety steps that it had to go through. Now, this is, like you can see here, we have contract ID, we have the names, the execution ID, the trace ID. So I'm going to ask for some details on that trace. The contract ID, the execution ID, the trace ID, these are all features of the ACSS standard. Can you now give me the trace in non-technical format, but be very detailed about each step and what each step cost? So the ACSS was built for us to run non-deterministic, probabilistic LLMs in governed industries, or in, even more importantly, deterministic workflows like this. So we had to make sure that we had guardrails around what an agent, an LLM, or maybe even a Python program or something can do, what it can't do, and the person and or the agent that's acting on the behalf of the person, that agent or that person had the right authentication and the right authorization to run the steps that is being asked of it. In a lot of cases, LLMs don't have that ability, and we need to make sure that we have them so that we can run agents safely, but also look back in a number of months and determine that what they did, we can kind of replay that, but also determine that what they did was correct and appropriate. Okay, the trace just came back, the plain English trace. It took about 74 seconds end to end. The outcome was successful, and we used Sonnet 4.6 for that contract execution. So the step-by-step walkthrough. Now, this is all traced from our ACSS logs. So we did an authority check to make sure that I had the permission to run the contract. So 2 policy checks ran, both were allowed. 0 is our financial program, so we had to make sure that I actually had access to 0 as well. Then we had to confirm that we're talking to the demo ledger. In this Cash Recovery Monday contract, this is a demo contract. We have a similar one that we use for us internally, but the demo, we had to make sure it was the right organization, the SynapseDx demo company. Then we pulled the full overdue invoice list, and you can see here that coming from 0 only took half a second. So really, really quick. However, the LLM was used probabilistically to rank all of the return from the overdue invoice list, and that took 14.4 seconds. So it looked at the list. There's a scoring formula in the contract. It's a composite of amount, age, number of overdue invoices per contact, and then it produced the top 3: Northgate, Blue Peak, Harbor Finch. Then we enriched those top 3 contracts to make sure we had the contract details, and then we had the aged receivables by contact. So making sure that we were accurate in terms of the invoices that were sent and the amounts. Then we did a PDF pre-flight on the top invoice to make sure that we had access to it, that we could read the binary, that it was in the expected format, but we never show that sensitive information back to the user here. And then we had a second LLM call back to Sonnet 4.6 to draft those letters and to write the actual final report that was painted here. Now we think and we bill in credits, which are kind of a composite way to determine LLM calls, contract calls, the tracing. So we have to make sure that we had a way to kind of track how all of that is being used. And this this contract execution came up to be at 573 credits. Then we also have the trace ID, execution ID, and all of the spans. You can see here there were 77 spans that were emitted from this run via ACSS, just to make sure that all of the policies were followed. So just a really quick demo of how we run contracts, what that substrate is that's underpinning all of the authority and the policy, and also, more importantly, the tracing. It's really important that when, whatever agentic framework or operating system you use, that you have the ability to 6 months from now come back and reconstruct every piece of every LLM call and every policy and every decision and every write and every read that you have, so that you can satisfy regulatory requirements in governed industries. Again, Michael Isaac, SynapseDx, come check us out.